Buc-ee's Stadium. Welcome to the Northern Nevada Toyota Dealers Mountain West Football Preview Show. He's Chris Murray. I'm Shannon Kelly. Over the next hour, we'll take a look at the entire conference here from all 12 coaches and get you ready for the upcoming college football season. And what a season in the Mountain West it is shaping up to be, Chris. 8 of the 12 head coaches are first-year head coaches at their respective programs. Of course, Jeff Choate at Nevada, set to lead a new era of Wolfpack football. Bronco Mendenhall is back in the Mountain West at New Mexico, and a pair of interim head coaches at Fresno State and Utah State.
We've never seen turnover like this at the head football position in the Mountain West, so it'll be really interesting to see how these first-year head coaches do. We knew that half of the coaches, 6 of them, had changed at the end of last year. A little bit of a surprise is you had 2 interim head coaches put into place in the fall season with Fresno State and Utah State. So a lot of fresh blood, and for those teams that have continuity, like an Air Force, like a Colorado State, like a Hawaii, is there maybe an advantage for them this season because they don't have that learning curve with the new head coach?
Well, it should be a very interesting year. The Mountain West ditched divisions last season in preparation for the upcoming expanded college football playoff. So now this season, Mountain West schools will play 7 Mountain West games, and then either Oregon State or Washington State. This is on a 1-year agreement, so we'll see if this will be in place next season. It sounds like Commissioner Gloria Nevarez is strongly working to get this in place for next season, Chris, but very interesting changes as well this year.
And the whole purpose of it is to increase those strength of schedules. With the expanded college football playoffs, the Mountain West really wants to get a team, one of those 12 who get into the postseason. One of the ways you do that is by having a really good non-conference schedule. So you look at adding Oregon State, which was a top 25 team last year, Washington State, which has spent some time in the top 25 each of the last 2 years. And the thought is these schedules will be a little bit more difficult, and that will allow a Mountain West team to get into the college football playoff. When you look at Nevada's schedule, 7 Mountain West games, 6 non-conference games. It's not usually a roughly 50-50 split, but the Wolfpack will see a lot of non-conference games this season.
So the new college football playoff format, which means the 5 highest-ranked conference champions and the 7 highest-ranked teams remaining will round out the 12 teams, which should make bowl season very intriguing this year, in that really any group of 5 school has a chance to earn an automatic berth.
You go back to the recent past, and it was almost impossible if you're a group of 5 school in the Mountain West, a school like Nevada, to get into the college football playoff. We did see it one year with Cincinnati, but basically everything had to break, right? Even last year, the undefeated ACC champ Florida State wasn't able to get into the playoff. So this is great access for the Mountain West, and the Mountain West has to have a strong season. The Mountain West has not been in a marquee bowl, a New Year's Six bowl, since 2014 in the Fiesta Bowl with Boise State. That was the first year of the New Year's Six. So it's been a long time since the Mountain West has been the top-ranked Group of 5 champion, but I think it has a really good shot this year because you look at what's happened to the American Athletic Conference, losing some of their better teams to the Big 12. That opens opportunity for the Mountain West to get into that college football playoff, and all you want is a spot and maybe see if you can make an upset or 2.
Well, this new model as well will also generate a lot more revenue for these Group of 5 schools, which is important. That's money that can be well used.
And there's been some talk, maybe will there be a Group of 5 separate playoff in the future? Obviously, that's far down the road, but in the immediate future, if you go out and you win the Mountain West, and the Mountain West is one of the 5 highest ranked conferences in the country, which is doable, then you will get that opportunity on the biggest stage in college football.
All right, let's switch gears and talk some Nevada football. First-year head coach Jeff Choate getting set to launch a new era of Wolfpack football. It's been less than a year since Coach Choate was hired, and a lot of things have changed. He's made it very clear this is not the same Wolfpack football team that fans saw during spring ball. It's much improved. A lot new pieces to the puzzle have been added this offseason, especially on offense. So can this be a Wolfpack team that can navigate and earn more than 2 wins this season?
This program needed a shot in the arm. It needed a bolt of energy, and Jeff Choate should provide just that. This is a very charismatic, energetic, passionate, motivating coach. He has head coaching experience at Montana State, was there for 5 years as a head coach, 4 active years. The COVID year didn't count. He got that program from below 500 all the way to the FCS semifinals in his last year. So he's been there. He's done that. He has that experience. He's got blue-collar roots. He came from a small town in Idaho, and this is a guy who seems perfectly fit for Nevada. Now, what does he inherit? A massive challenge. You look at Nevada, back-to-back 2-10 seasons, obviously unless they've been coached by Chris Alt, not a ton of success really over the last 25 years. But we did see Jay Norvell built this thing up pretty well. And now Jeff Choate will try and get this program to a championship level. But the first order of business, just to make it a more competitive team. The last 2 years, 4-20, but 16 of those losses by double digits. So a lot of blowout defeats. He's really worked hard to build this team's unity, to build this team's camaraderie, and to build this team's belief as it heads into the season, because it doesn't have a lot of confidence based on how the last couple years have gone.
Coach Choate said at Mountain West Media Days he knows that Nevada is getting a better version of head coach Jeff Choate than Montana State did, just with his experience that he's gained over the years. And, you know, he said he thinks that not everybody's cut out for this job. You know, it's not something that just because you're a coordinator or in any way that you're fit to be a head coach. But with Coach Choate's head coaching experience and turning around that Montana State program, hopefully he can do the same at Nevada. Here is Coach Choate and some of the guys at Media Day.
The past is the past, and we've got an opportunity. We got a fresh slate. We got a tremendous competitive schedule, and we've got it's an unbelievable opportunity in front of us right now. And this has kind of been one of the things that, you know, I've talked about a number of times today, is this is going to be the easiest head coaching job ever, because nobody has any expectations. So we can just let it rip every day. Like, you know, I don't need to worry about whether to go for it on fourth down, or, hey, should we fake the punt? Yeah, 100% we should. And so there you go. When you're playing us, know that we're going to empty the clip every single day. And so from that perspective, I've been on both sides of this. That when there's low expectations, it's actually easier to go coach. And then when you're at the top, when they're selecting you at the top, the pressure's on you from day one. And there's different. You can equate that differently, obviously. But I think it's going to be a blast, man. I mean, I think these kids are going to shock some people. And
the offense definitely going to be explosive. Like, we got a lot of pieces, a lot of weapons, like that a lot of people don't think that we have. And it's crazy that they picked us 12, because we got a lot of good players on our team. I'm not shocked, but like at the same time, we gonna prove a lot of people wrong. Like, and I'm 100% behind Coach Choate, and he definitely, as a program, as a group, we all gonna prove the world wrong.
That motivates us like crazy. And Coach Choate and our strength and conditioning staff, they make sure that we know, 2.5 wins is the average that they have us winning. And our coach, he puts it on every single one of our weight racks, 2.5. And the players see that every day. And we look at that 2.5 and we push ourselves every single workout to change that narrative that this season we're going to a bowl game and we're going to try and win this championship.
Cortez Bram referencing the Mountain West preseason poll. Nevada picked to finish at the bottom in 12th. But Cortez Bram, he'll be one of the big pieces on offense that Nevada has added this offseason. Jaden Smith from Tarleton State at running back. You have Sean Dollars, who returns, Savion Red from Texas. So a lot of depth, especially at running back. And with these new pieces that were added at wide receiver, that was a much-needed position this offseason.
And the offense has to get better. 17.3 points per game last season. That was bottom 5 in the nation. That was the worst total in Nevada's FBS era since 1992, moving to that division. So the surrounding cast is better. The quarterback play has to get better. You look at the last 2 seasons, Nevada more interceptions than passing touchdowns in back-to-back years. The guy who started most of the games last year, Brendan Lewis, just 2 passing touchdowns in 10 games. He is a career 6-19 as a starter at the college level, but he went out this fall. He won the job, and it sounds like he's a much more mature quarterback entering his 5th season. He began his career at Colorado, a lot more film study, a lot more leadership skills that the team is seeing from him, and the hope is that Nevada offense will be able to take a big step forward, because if it doesn't, it's hard to win games when you're scoring 17 points per game. They got to get up to the mid-20s at minimum, maybe to the 30s with some of these supporting players.
Absolutely, and Coach Choate made it very clear on day one at his opening press conference. They are going to run the ball, and that comes with having a strong offensive line, another area where Nevada has struggled over the last several seasons. So we'll see if the pieces can all come together for this Wolfpack squad this year. Here is Coach Choate and Brendan Lewis.
We made an internal decision, and it really wasn't that hard. I think Brendan Lewis had a tremendous camp. It might be the first time in 30 years of doing this that we've gone through an entire camp and a quarterback hasn't thrown 1 interception. And so I think that's the one thing that stood out to me the most, was the growth that Brendan has shown in terms of understanding how to take care of the football, manage and run the offense. I think having Coach Lubick here has really helped to kind of bring that side of the ball together.
It meant a lot. First and foremost, I just got to thank God for the opportunity, putting me in this position to be out there and glorify Him and the skills that He's blessed me with. I just want to go out there and show the world and glorify Him. That's first and foremost. But it's a really great opportunity. I'm really excited about it, and I want to lead the guys to a successful season.
So Nevada enters the season with more confidence, but it also plays maybe the hardest schedule in program history. 13 games this year, 10 against teams that were in bowls last year, 3 games against power conference competition as well. So year one might be difficult for Jeff Choate, but I think this is the right guy to move this program forward.
It all starts against SMU right here on this field, August 24th. Coming up next on our Mountain West football preview show, we'll take a look at a few of the top contenders in the conference, including the preseason favorites, Boise State. Welcome back. Taking a look first at the Boise State Broncos. The Mountain West Conference preseason favorites won the Mountain West title last year against UNLV and led by first-year head coach Spencer Danielson, who took over as the Broncos interim head coach with 3 games left in the season last year. Chris took the Broncos to the LA Bowl, fell to UCLA, but still a promising year ahead for Boise State with a lot of new additions this season.
And a lot of pressure on Coach Danielson. I mean, this is the premier program in the Mountain West. They've actually been picked to win the Mountain West every single season it's been in this league. So there's a lot of expectations. There's not a lot of margin for error. And very interestingly enough, they have selected Maddox Madsen as their starting quarterback. He split time last year. But they did add a 5-star prospect from USC, Malachi Nelson. I think the expectation was he was going to win the job. That's not what happened, but Madsen will be working with some really good players around him. Ashton Genty in particular, the returning All-American running back, probably the best player in this league. So everything is set up for Boise State to be successful. But if they don't win the Mountain West and if they don't get in the college football playoff, it's not a successful season. That's just the standard there with the Broncos.
Ashton Genty rushed for almost 1,400 yards last season. Can he top it again this year? You mentioned Maddox Madsen being named the starting quarterback, and Coach Danielson said it came down to completion percentage, interception, explosive plays, decision-making, and he felt like Maddox gives the Broncos the best opportunity to win Game 1. Here is Coach Danielson talking about his squad.
Boise State football expectations are always through the roof. Since I've been at Boise State, and I think for 17 straight years, we've been picked to win the Mountain West Conference Championship. We have not done it every year. We won it last year, which is the standard at Boise State. We hadn't won it prior to since 2019. And so we've never been able to win back-to-back Mountain West championships, ever. So there's a lot of things on the table here for our team, and especially it's making sure our team, our staff stay focused, because there's so many things, especially in the summertime, guys. There's not one coach that'll sit up here and be like, yeah, we're gonna have a bad season. Everyone's talking about how great they're gonna be and who they're gonna. For us, it's control what you can control. Right now, that's making sure July 11th, our players back in Boise are working their tail off. That matters. And if we do that consistently, we'll be able to win Game 1, be able to work our tail off to win a Mountain West championship again, and then get a shot to play in the college football playoff. But all that stuff I don't talk about a ton. It's about controlling what you control and winning that one day you're in.
We talk a lot about being built different, and so I think this season's definitely going to be built different for us. We have a lot of talent on our football team, and we're just super excited for the upcoming season to be able to, show the new guys that we have and continue to, have that spark into the next season that we created last season.
Us getting some more guys in the portal, guys returning like Latrell Caples, who went down in injury last year, and him being like another leader for us. So that's going to be very exciting for us to be a more dynamic offense and having a better pass game this year. It's going to be tremendous for us.
Moving down south now to UNLV, led by second-year head coach Barry Odom, the reigning Mountain West Coach of the Year, took the program to its first ever Mountain West title game in school history. The Rebels looking to make back-to-back bowls now for the first time in school history, and the pressure is on with a lot of pieces returning. Ricky White III, Jacob DeJesus, Jaden Thomas. What can this Rebels team do this season?
Well, the expectations are just different. Now you have the target on your back, so how do you respond to that? UNLV, to me, might have the best roster in the Mountain West. That usually goes to Boise State. I think the only question about UNLV is the quarterback position. They lost Mountain West Freshman of the Year, Jaden Maeva. He transferred to USC, so that quarterback position is open. They did bring in 2 very productive FCS transfers who will battle for this job probably throughout the non-conference season, but the surrounding pieces are there. Obviously, Barry Odom has proven that he's a very good coach from his time as Missouri, as their head coach, and then obviously last year a tremendous job. So can they get over that hump? They're coming off, to me, what is the best best season in UNLV football history. So can they not only repeat that, but maybe get up to double-digit wins? Non-conference schedule is difficult. Mountain West schedule, especially the back half, pretty manageable. So I think UNLV, I don't think they're going to take a step back this year.
All right, here is Coach Odom and some of the guys.
We are on the stage. We got 5 Friday night games. 11 of our 12 regular season games are on national TV. It's never been done before at UNLV. We also look at UNLV has never been to back-to-back bowl games. That's something that we want to accomplish. We have so many goals that are out there for us to go achieve this year. We're a mature team. You know, I've found it better with this team just to be very, very open and honest, and let's not run away or shy away from those expectations. Let's embrace them, man, because I would much rather be in this position than to not be talked about at all. So our guys will use it the right way. We understand that we've got to play really good. We got to play really good early, and that every single rep through fall camp and the rest of our summer ball is going to matter.
It's going to be scary for defenses to go against. You got guys like Ricky White and Jacob coming back, Jacob DeJesus. And then we added a bunch of receivers. It's probably the best receiving core in the nation from top to bottom. We got returning running back and Jet Thomas, and then brought in a lot of other guys there too. It's going to be a really good offense this year. Going to be exciting to watch. They're going to put up a lot of points.
Of course, we fell short last year at the championship game, but our goal is to get back there, host again, and dominate how we were supposed to do last year. So, and that's what I feel like we're going to do this year for sure.
So UNLV hosts Nevada, the final game of the regular season down in Las Vegas at Allegiant Stadium. The Rebels looking to retain the Fremont Cannon for the 3rd straight year. It would be the longest in Rebels history since the early 2000s.
Then you have Jeff Choate stepping up for Nevada. He was actually 4-0 as Montana's head coach against Montana State's head coach against Montana. And Montana State had only won 5 of the previous 30 games in that rivalry. So Jeff Choate, good at rivalry games. Will that carry over to the Fremont Cannon game? We'll see in November.
Should be an intriguing one, no doubt. Moving over to the Central Valley, Fresno State, a very interesting situation as Jeff Tedford was at Mountain West Media Days and then stepped down less than a week later due to health concerns. So interim head coach Tim Skipper, who was with the program under Tedford last year, will take over for the Bulldogs. And this is a Fresno State team that returns a lot of productivity on offense this season.
Yeah, Mikey Keene, he's probably the best quarterback coming back. Malik Sherrod, 1,000-yard rusher. You got Jalen Moss at wide receiver. Very good offensive talent. And then Coach Skipper comes from the defensive side of the ball, was the interim head coach for them during their bowl game, a big win over New Mexico State. He's also a Fresno State alum, so he's got a chance to maybe prove that he deserves to have this job long term if they have a successful 2024.
Here is Coach Skipper talking about inheriting this group.
I was locked in on linebackers, because we have some new faces and some guys that I'm excited about, and just trying to get them to meet their full potential. But now it's the entire team, having to deal with getting familiar with the offensive guys and all that, the coaches, and understanding how we just call plays and things like that. We've, always tweaking in the offseason, so I got to get those tweaks done. So just little things like that, but I'm excited for it. I come from a coaching family, so I always had that big picture mentality, so I'm ready for it.
We're excited, and we're going to come with the utmost confidence because we feel like we can play with the best, and I believe that we've showed that we can play with the best, so we come with nothing but the utmost confidence. A lot of returning guys on both sides of the ball, so that adds its own, level right there. Mikey King, 2nd year in the system, coming back with a whole year under his belt, and he's looking really good at practice. You got the wide receivers coming back. We lost 2 key players, but we have also we got 2 new guys stepping up. So you got guys stepping up in different positions. So it's really exciting to see different players coming to themselves.
So those are your top 3 teams in the Mountain West preseason poll. Teams number 4 and 5, Colorado State and Air Force. Nevada plays all 5 of those teams. So Nevada, we talked about that schedule. They play the top 5 rated teams in the Mountain West during the conference season, only 7 conference games. So kind of underlines how difficult this schedule is.
It'll be no easy feat for the Wolfpack this season. Coming up next, we'll talk about a few of those schools, including Colorado State, led by former Wolfpack head coach Jay Norvell. Welcome back. Let's head now over to Fort Collins. Jay Norvell in his 3rd season at Colorado State, an 8th season overall in the Mountain West after spending 5 years at Nevada. The Rams still looking for its first bowl berth, though, under Coach Norvell. It would be a first this season since 2017.
They're building in the right direction. Maybe not quite as fast as it happened at Nevada, but they went from 3 wins to 5 wins last year. I think the offensive personnel is outstanding. Quarterback Brader Fowler Nicolosi, he's probably a top 3 quarterback coming back in this league. Torrey Horton, a wide receiver, began his career at Nevada. I think that guy could be an All-American this year. Justin Marshall, he's a really good running back who played a lot as a true freshman. To me, the bigger question is on defense. 29.6 points per game allowed last year. That was 98th in the nation. You don't win championships unless you have a good defense. That was a little bit of a problem for Jay Norvell when he was at Nevada as well. Can he get this defense to a championship level? If he can, I think this is a really fun underdog pick to maybe make it to a Mountain West championship game.
I'm with you on that. I really like what Braden Fowler Nicolosi did last season, and Jay Norvell said that combo of Fowler Nicolosi and Torrey Horton reminds him a lot of Carson Strong and Romeo Dobbs. Here is Coach Norvell talking about his squad.
Quarterback the last 2 years, which was not intended, but we liked our kids, and we felt like if they got experience, they would end up being really good. And, and we've had to take our medicine. I think that's the big thing. When you play with young players and you play with a young team that's not mature yet, you're going to have some hard lessons, and we had some. And, we had four games that came down to the last play last year, and we had 7 one-score games. I think before Kyle left, he told me that was the first time that Colorado State had 7 one-score games since Sonny Lubick was there. And so we're building a competitive team. And now, I'm so excited because experience is starting to pay off. We have experience and size and speed at almost every position.
His main goal is, of course, winning the Mountain West, and the steps that he's taken, it's been some hard decisions, and those decisions you might not like right now, but it's the decision that needed to happen. I know his goal, and I'm all for it, and I know what we want to do. So I got a lot of faith in him, and we're ready to break through that wall that we've been stuck behind. So.
Torrey Horton, his only offer coming out of high school was from Nevada, from Coach Norvell, originally from Fresno, wasn't even recruited by his hometown out of high school, and look what he has blossomed into as one of the best receivers in the Mountain West. Coach Norvell makes his return to Mackey Stadium November 2nd.
Yeah, I mean, the first time he came back, I think there was quite a bit of animosity. Now more years down the road, a lot fewer players on Nevada's roster who were recruited by Jay Norvell. So maybe tempers down a little bit, but I think Wolfpack fans remember Jay Norvell leaving Nevada, taking some players with him. But Coach Norvell, I think a really good guy, I think a really good coach, and we'll see if they can have a breakthrough all the way to a Mountain West championship this year.
Moving over now, still in Colorado, to Air Force, the academy led by Troy Calhoun, the most tenured coach in the Mountain West, who has quite a rebuild this season after a 9-4 record last year. Just a handful of starters returned this year, about less than a dozen, Chris. So a lot of rebuilding for Coach Calhoun, but this is something he's used to at the academy.
134 FBS programs in the nation. Air Force returns the least productivity of all of those schools. So it is a major rebuild, but this is kind of a plug and play program. You look at the last 4 full seasons, Air Force has won 40 games, so that's 10 wins per season. It might be hard to hit that mark, but this team doesn't really ever rebuild. The coaching, the scheme, and the toughness of their players are always so strong, so the names will change, but this should remain one of the better teams in the Mountain West.
You mentioned the coaching offensive coordinator, Mike Theisen, entering his 18th season at Air Force, and he is the longest tenured offensive coordinator in the nation. He'll be working with quarterback John Boucher, who will likely be the starting quarterback for Air Force, as the academy was his only offer out of high school. Here is Coach Calhoun and wide receiver Brandon Engel.
I don't know if anybody in college football's had a situation where they only have one starter back on offense and you only have 4 returning starters. Now, you do have some specialists that are back. And it wasn't, like I said earlier, it wasn't like we were able to go add transfers either. So what's the joy is you get to do what we do, and we have players that are eager, that are hungry.
We have a lot of confident young players that just haven't had a chance to prove themselves. So that's kind of what this season is going to be. Good for them to show their talents, and I'm looking forward to it for them. So it's just a lot of the guys that are returning just kind of stepping up and taking a leadership role, because we lost a lot of guys that had that leadership role for a few years now. So just understanding what they have to step into our shoes and understand there's a standard at the academy, and so just living up to that.
Heading out to the islands now, the Hawaii Rainbow Warriors, led by third-year head coach Timmy Chang, which will look to continue building off of what they built on last season. Chris, finishing the year 3-1 for Coach Chang. This program is hoping to reach a bowl after they haven't been since 2020. So that's been quite a couple years now.
Yeah, as you mentioned, a little bit of momentum. Won in 3 of their last 4 games. They went from 3 wins in year 1 to 5 wins in year 2. The non-conference schedule, which is usually killer, is actually a lot easier this year, but a lot of progress required. Hawaii was bottom 25 in the nation in scoring offense and scoring defense, so still looking for that identity, entering the third year under the former Nevada assistant Timmy Chang.
The Rainbow Warriors returning 9 starters on offense, 6 on defense, and a specialist, along with quarterback Braden Shaker.
We're just trying to take what we did at the ending of that season and bringing it back, bringing it to this season. We know that what we have to do, we have to lock in and stuff. But yeah, we feel like we have kind of that momentum rolling for us right now, so we'll just keep it in our favor.
The team is in a good place, and so what you saw the last 4 games of the season is what we've built off of. October was very rough for us, if that's what you're talking about. October was rough on all of us. Nevada had just 2 wins back to back heading into that game as well, and we were on a downward skid of that, finishing up that October. So that game did propel us, and there's some things that we did inside there that we changed. I started to understand what the team needed, made some changes, and brought those guys back together. It was an important win for us, and it helped set up another win, a big win with Air Force, who just lost 1 game, I believe, the whole season until coming to us. That was an unbelievable game. So yeah, the Nevada game for us was huge.
Back on the mainland now, talking about the San Jose State Spartans, a new era of Spartan football with head coach Ken Numatalolo, previously at Navy for more than a decade, then was at UCLA last season as the director of leadership. So he'll inherit a Spartans program looking to make 3 straight bowl games for the first time in school history. But there's some question marks with some rebuilding to do. What will this Spartans offense look like after Coach Numatalolo ran the triple option at Navy? A new quarterback will emerge after Chevin Cordero held that role for the last couple of seasons.
Yeah, 109 wins at Navy, so this guy's a proven winner. They are going from the triple option to the spread and shred, so a little bit more pass-oriented. And as you mentioned, first time for 3 straight bowls is what they're looking for. Back-to-back bowls for the first time since 1986-87. Then they lost coach Brent Brennan over there to Arizona. So probably a rebuild for the Spartans this year.
All right, here is Coach Numatalolo.
If there's anything, I'm letting Craig run this offense, but if there's anything we talked about is game management. Right. So those are the kind of things I've tried to talk about, just because there's one of our formulas at any service academy was what we did at Navy, just trying to limit the time that the other guys had the ball. Just keep them off the field. Not a rocket science, but it's pretty simple. They can't score if they're on the sidelines. You know what I mean? So try to keep them on the sidelines. But with that said, what we're going to do, we're going to throw the ball more. But we're not going to throw the ball 80 times. You know what I mean? We recognize that, and I recognize that you got to run the ball. And there's some places in this conference that maybe the weather is not going to be so conducive to throwing the football, and you got to be able to run the football. So having some diversity there to making sure that you can run the football when you need to be able to get the short yardage, to be able to run the ball on the goal line. So all of those stuff are definitely part of it.
Justin Lockhart is back with the Spartans this season. The former Nevada wide receiver missed all of last year due to injury. Coming up next year, we'll preview the rest of the conference. 4 more teams left. We'll talk about them right after this. Welcome back to our Northern Nevada Toyota Dealers Mountain West Football Preview Show. Taking a look now at the Wyoming Cowboys, a new era of Wyoming football led by head coach Jay Sawvell. He was previously the defensive coordinator and safeties coach under Craig Bull, and he returns more than a dozen starters from last season. So the mantra is probably going to be close to the same as it's been in years past at Wyoming.
Not as big of a rebuild as some other first-year head coaches. Craig Bull basically turned Wyoming into a bowl team year in and year out, and that will be the challenge for Coach Sawvell. I think Wyoming's defense should be really solid this year. It's more about the offense. They have Harrison Whaley back at running back, quarterback, a bigger question mark. But here's what Coach Sawvell and his guys had to say entering the season.
We have a really good base back defensively. In terms of, we've got a really good defensive tackle, 3 really good defensive ends back, a really good linebacker back, an interior in the secondary of a nickel and 2 safeties that are back, that are all like, yeah, you're correct. Other than Easton Gibbs, our leading tacklers from last year. You know, I think there's an experience base to it to where we should be able to handle a lot of different curveballs and scenarios that offenses can do against us. But then there's also playmaking there that where we should be able to count on a defense that should be in the upper tier or 2 of this conference. And so it's a big deal for us.
It'll obviously be super nice having a bunch of the guys that were our biggest playmakers, but then we also got the young guys that didn't play that are stepping up on the defense that are going to be up there as well. So, yeah, it's super nice. I'm really excited for the Sawvell era. I don't think it's going to be much different. He obviously coached under Coach Bull for many years, so it's going to be super exciting, but I do love like the interactions that he's had with our team this summer so far.
It's a new era of Utah State football as well. Interim head coach Nate Dreiling taking over the program. This came early July after Blake Anderson was fired after he hadn't compiled with Title IX policies regarding the reporting of sexual misconduct cases. So a huge shock in the Mountain West early in July, Chris, as Dreiling will take over this program. He was previously the defensive coordinator and defensive ends coach.
Yeah, not how you draw it up, but obviously Utah State's going to have to get through that. They also lost their top 2 quarterbacks after spring camp. Both of them transferred, Cooper Lagasse and McKay Hillstead. So that puts Spencer Petras, a transfer from Iowa, into that quarterback position. This was a very good offense last year, 33 points per game, second in the Mountain West, but they gave up 35 points per game, 11th worst in the nation. Here's Coach Dreiling and Spencer Petras talking about this season.
I was on a vacation with my wife in Dublin, Ireland at a pub about to order dinner, so to say we were surprised by it is probably an understatement, right? But it's been a very unique and unbelievable experience, just humbling being here around all these phenomenal coaches. And I'm obviously, excited about the opportunity, but more so excited to do it for the kids and do it with them. It is a very mature group with a bunch of players that have played a lot of snaps, but even more so a bunch of phenomenal leaders. So they're really able to take this thing over. It's not about me. It's about how this locker room is going to respond. And I got a feeling we got a back against our wall. We're going to come out swinging.
I think he's a total players coach, and I really like the system that he runs. And he's obviously had success in the past as a defensive coordinator. And so far in his new role, I think he's made it very clear to the players that his goals for us are, A, to play our best and to achieve what we can, but number 2, or B, whichever I was saying, for us to just have fun, just to have a blast playing football. And I love that because I think in today's day and age, we get really focused on a lot of things that aren't just enjoying playing the game that we all love. And it's an important perspective to keep.
The Sean Lewis era begins at San Diego State. Coach Lewis, previously the offensive coordinator at Colorado under Deion Sanders. He was the head coach at Kent State, and he's looking to turn a defensive-minded program into an offensively-minded program, Chris. So it'll be interesting to see how the changes with the Aztecs shape over the next several seasons, as this program has consistently been a top 20 scoring defense in the nation.
Coach Lewis, a very good coach. He did a tremendous job at Kent State. That's a difficult job to win games. San Diego State has a much higher ceiling, so he did leave a sitting head coach position to go be on Deion Sanders' staff, and now he gets another opportunity here. A couple local kids on this roster as well. You got Reno High's Wyatt Drager, he's a senior, and then Bishop Minogue, freshman. Ben Scolari in his first season at the college level. 10 players transferred to Power Conference schools out of this program, so the talent level a little bit down for San Diego State. Here are the Aztecs previewing their season.
I'm scared about the change, but it's been a great change. Coach Lewis just came in here, leaded us into, a different realm of Aztec football, and it's been great. I think he's done a great job of, leading us into the right way of how to play, football, and he's doing a great job. And he's a great guy too, big guy. He's 6'7", 6'8", however tall he is, and full of energy all the time. So.
Regardless of what the scheme is and what you're doing, all the different styles of play, it comes down to people believing in what you're doing and having the trust, in the leaders that are making it happen. So it's just been a matter of, again, from day one, like you go in there and everyone's got this concern of, hey, how's the first team meeting going to go? How's he going to handle this? Am I one of his guys? Am I an old guy? Am I a new guy? And building those relationships to know that, hey, everyone that's in this locker room, everyone that's a part of this organization, no matter where your journey started, like we're Aztecs and we're in this thing together, and making sure that everyone has that trust and that belief and how we're doing it and why we're doing it.
Danny O'Neal, the true freshman quarterback, has won the starting job for week 1 for the Aztecs. He was previously committed to Colorado. Moving on now to New Mexico, the final team in the Mountain West, led by Bronco Mendenhall. A return to the Mountain West for Coach Mendenhall, who inherits a rebuild as well. He was at BYU and at Virginia, and he's turned those programs into winning programs after inheriting them when they were struggling as well, Chris.
He was on the staff with the Lobos back when they were really successful early in the Rocky Long days. We talked about 8 new head coaches in the Mountain West. To me, Bronco Mendenhall inherits the most difficult of those 8 coaches' positions. You look at the last 6 New Mexico head coaches in their first years with the program, just 13 combined wins. So year 1, again, might be a little bit rough, but I really do like their quarterback. Devian Dampierre has actually played a lot as a true freshman last year. I think he could be one of the better quarterbacks in the league during his sophomore season.
There's certainly a need at the University of New Mexico for great football. And yeah, I like the chance to make a difference. I like the opportunity that UNM provides. Love our players, would love to see them be successful. But it's kind of like returning to my roots. This is where I started as a head coach, and it's been fun to now, having navigated 17 years of head coaching, to come back and see it in a new light, and I like it. I like the Mountain West, I like the cities, I like the towns, I like the teams, I like the coaches, but I also like its place in college football currently.
I'm just really excited about what we got to prove this year and what we're going to do. We've been putting in a lot of hard work, and I feel like that's the most important thing to me. Just making sure all that hard work is paid off.
Coming up next on our Mountain West football preview show, we take a look at some of the bowl games and how teams fared last season in the Mountain West. Welcome back. Last season, for the 4th time in the last 5 years, the Mountain West placed 7 teams in bowl games. Chris, always a positive sign when that number continues to grow or stay at 7 teams. That's quite a bit, as more than half of the league reached a bowl last year. But obviously, there's a lot of changes potentially this year with the upcoming college football playoff expansion.
Yeah, I mean, the goal is to get one of those teams in your conference into the college football playoffs. If that's not the case, the winner will go to the LA Bowl against the now Pac-2, so Washington State or Oregon State. Obviously, a lot of those teams We're already playing against them, so we'll see how that shakes out. But you also have the New Mexico Bowl, the Hawaii Bowl, the Arizona Bowl, the famous Idaho Potato Bowl. So your regular bowls. But I think this is a big season for the Mountain West. We've seen on the men's basketball side, the Mountain West has been able to move itself a lot closer to the power conference level. We've not seen that in football in recent years. As we mentioned to open the show, there hasn't been a Mountain West school in a major bowl since 2014 when Boise State played in the Fiesta Bowl. And then you look at last year, no top 25 teams at the end of the season for the first time since 2015. That was only the 5th time in 25 years the Mountain West didn't have a final AP top 25 team. So I think there's a lot to prove for the Mountain West this season. I think that starts with the quarterback play, which hasn't been great the last couple of seasons. But if you're Nevada and you get into a bowl, you're really happy. If you're some of these other schools, not as much. So everyone in a little different place for their program. But you will see probably 6 or 7 teams in the postseason yet again.
And there's just a couple returning quarterbacks in the league this year as well. So a lot of new faces along with a lot of new head coaches. We also have to mention the Arizona Bowl this year, a new presenting sponsor in Snoop Dogg. The Arizona Bowl presented by Gin and Juice by Dre and Snoop. So the first alcohol partner as a presenting sponsor in a bowl game. There'll also be some NIL opportunities associated with this bowl. Pretty cool stuff.
Yeah, I thought the NIL aspect was really interesting. I mean, if you make it to a bowl, usually you'll get some swag, maybe a bag, maybe a watch, maybe a t-shirt, but NIL money, that's a little bit different. And I think this is great for the Mountain West. Obviously, Snoop was huge during the Olympics, and for him to kind of be the face of one of the Mountain West bowls, I think that can only be a positive. He's actually also going to have some of his youth teams from Southern California play earlier in the week out there, so some great opportunities for some young players as well.
Really cool stuff happening down in Arizona this winter. Coming up next, we will wrap up the show with some previews and predictions. Chris and I will give our picks right after this. Wrapping things up with our picks and predictions for the season, Chris. And full disclosure, we did not pick these and talk about them beforehand, but we always somehow end up with some of the same picks.
Yeah, if we overlap, it's purely coincidental.
Yes, it is. And with this first one, yes, certainly coincidental. Our pick for the Mountain West Offensive Player of the Year, Boise State running back Ashton Jeanty, reigning Mountain West Offensive Player of the Year last season, Chris. Really, there's not much to explain with Ashton Jeanty and how much of a threat he can be.
19 touchdowns last year, 7.3 yards per touch, 22 touches per game. If we're going to give you a dark horse for me, I'll go Torrey Horton from Colorado State, the wide receiver.
That's a great dark horse. Yeah, certainly, no doubt. Our pick for Mountain West Defensive Player of the Year, different here, Chris, so let's share your pick.
I'm going Jack Howell. He's a safety for Colorado State. His dad actually played in the NFL, won a Super Bowl with the Tampa Bay Bucks, but it has been a long time since a defensive back has won the Mountain West Defensive Player of the Year. You got to go back to 2016, DeMonte Casey, San Diego State. So a little bit out on a limb there.
Funny that you picked a defensive back as well. I did as well. How about Zack Larsen over at Utah State? He was potent for this Aggie secondary last year, finishing the season with more than 100 tackles and setting the school season record in 2022 in block punts. So has made some history for the Aggies. We'll see if he can be a force for them this year. How about Mountain West Coach of the Year, Chris? Our pick, the same on this one.
Yeah, both going Jay Norvell. For me, though, if Jay Norvell is going to win this award, one of his former assistants at Nevada, Freddie Banks, who's his defensive coordinator with the Rams, I think his unit has to play a lot better. But Jay Norvell from 3 to 5 wins, I think they're up at 8 or 9 wins. That might be enough to get him Coach of the Year honors for the first time.
All right, our pick for the Mountain West Championship game. Chris, who are you going with?
I'm going Boise State over UNLV, so the same result as last year. I am a super boring human being.
Well, I'm going Boise State over Colorado State. We'll see if the Rams can make it to a Mountain West title game. That'll do it for us here on the Mountain West Football Preview Show. For Zack Larsen and Anthony Resnick behind the scenes, he's Chris Murray. I'm Shannon Kelly. We'll see you next time.